Hey everybody, what's up? We're back again like we promised. It took a little bit because I was busy, Mike was busy, but let's just hit right to it. Mike, go with synopsis.
So, this is the synopsis for Terminator Dark Fate. In Mexico City, a newly modified liquid Terminator, the Rev 9 model, arrives from the future to kill a young factory worker named Danny Ramos. Also sent back in time is Grace, a hybrid cyborg human who must protect Ramos from the seemingly indestructible robotic assassin. But the two women soon find some much-needed help from a pair of unexpected allies, seasoned warrior Sarah Connor and the T-800 Terminator. Brock, I'll let you start. Overall thoughts, or just start off with some of the positives?
I have really backhanded positive, but I'll get back to that later. It's not the same one that you're going to bring up. Positives, that is not what I expected the movie to be. I guess I could have pulled it together from the trailers, but I did not expect to see John Connor get murdered in the first 2 minutes.
By the way, guys, the full spoiler review in case.
Yeah, sorry. In case you're wondering, sorry, he's dead. It's blown away with a shotgun. Didn't see that coming, but I should have expected from the fact that we had a very, very, very grouchy old Sarah Connor later on. And I got the basis of what I thought I was going to get in this movie from the start of it, but I didn't get what certain characters were like. The T-800 that's in this movie, and we'll get to that later, is a different T-800 than the one that obviously melted at the end of T2. There's not some magical hocus pocus where they got his core or something. It's a different Terminator. Mm-hmm. I was very scared that this Terminator was not going to have a set of rules, this Rev 9, at the start of it, because it just started basically being, well, that's a problem. I'll fix that with magical hocus pocus. Well, that's a problem. I'm going to fix that with, I'm like, this thing better have some rules really quick or we start getting pissed off. And it did. It had a solid set of rules. They didn't really explain them, but you got to see what its abilities were. So I appreciated that. The fight scenes were awesome. Pablox, hi. Mm-hmm. See you in the comments. The effects were good. It was, we'll get to some of the negatives later, but I really didn't really have anything that I want to say that was bad about it. It was a good script. You could tell that it was a little bit more tight-knit because of Cameron producing it. Mm-hmm. It was a good plot. It was not at all, again, what I was expecting, so I'll let you get into your basic thoughts before we get down a lot farther.
Some of the basic stuff that I have, I thought all the leads were great. The new person, Natalia Reyes, I think she's a great, kind of like a great combination of John and Sarah Connor. She's she's the one they have to save, mm-hmm. but she's also kind of the most important person in this new timeline.
Yep.
And Mackenzie Davis, I've loved her pretty much since her 5-second cameo in The Martian.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot.
She has a really small role in that, but she left a really big impact. And also she stars in one of my favorite films from last year, Tully, with Charlize Theron. Mm-hmm. And I think she works really well as a sort of action heroine. Yeah, her and Linda Hamilton working together, that was cool to see.
That was, yes.
As far as the action sequences, the one I have to bring up is the first highway chase, because Tim Miller loves doing action scenes set on a highway.
He do. And he's very good at them. Mm-hmm. Because there was, and they actually realized vehicles get destroyed. They don't go through a tremendous amounts of crap before they end up being junked.
Yeah. I wonder how many of those are like actually like practical vehicles and which are CGI, because sometimes it's easy to tell like when something is off, but like a lot of those that like they looked real enough.
They did. Tim's also really good with CGI, so it's hard to tell.
Right. Blur Studios is kind of like they're kind of known for their visual effects, and for not that big of a budget either. Although this is Cameron, so it's going to be at least like 150.
Yeah, at least. And spoiler alert, they're not making it back.
Oh, hell no.
That is one thing before, and we're still going to go with positives here, but I don't know what your situation was like, but
there was like next to nobody in my screening.
I'm going to show you guys a quick visual of what my theater was.
How many seats is that?
I gotta think. How much can hold in there? There's probably 20 rows down, 6 across on both sides.
So like 200-ish?
200-ish, yeah.
Yeah, mine was like 167. And like I was one of maybe like 5.
Yeah, I was one of the only people in the entire theater in my town. Like, the last straggler came out after just watching Zombieland 2, and then I sat talking with the owner, Dave, really good guy, and we were talking about hoping that this does well, and like knowing it's not going to because it looked good. And then I talked with him why it took a little bit to get here. It's just like you got to see vulnerability in characters. You got to see them try something different, quote unquote different. It is still a freaking machine being sent back to do a thing and kill someone. But I don't know what else. Like, people hated Salvation, so you have to try and get back and do a little bit in present tense. And it's like, yeah, Skynet's not anymore, but it's just called Legion now. I get that. Yeah.
We'll get back to that.
We'll get back to that. It's like they tried something different. They came up with a box standard, different little version of a Terminator, which was fine. And you can only in all sense, without going just off the grid crazy, you cannot do too much of a different of a Terminator movie. So people knocking too much that this is just the same freaking movie over again. I'm like, well, you kind of can't do the whole, well, I'm back now, John Connor, and I'm going to protect you. You can't do that over again and then expect
a different result.
Expect a different result. You can only do so much. This time was slightly different. Both were set at the same time to a location by the same people, and it's like, you can't. Like, they released in the air now and then fell, and it's like one was partially in a highway. You're asking for a lot if you're going to enjoy a Terminator film and get something different. I just had a good time. I don't have a lot of pinpoint exact things other than, like, we could go through every fight scene. Every fight scene was great. Some of them I felt dragged, but we'll get to that in the negatives. Sarah, you had the grouchiest of old grandmothers in Sarah Connor, and I appreciated that. We'll get to a part of that in the negative, but like, it was nice to see Linda Hamilton again, being produced by her good old ex-husband. Did not know that until I was reading interviews for the movie. But yeah, I guess I had a good time, and I don't know what else you can ask in a robots are sent back in time to protect the child and then beat the ever-living piss out of each other because they can't die. I don't know what else you want. But anything else before we?
I think those are pretty much my same my same general positives. A lot of what I liked about the movie was just like as like a standalone action film. I think this is just satisfying enough. Like you have the right people, like both in front of and behind the camera. We will get to like sort of the second half and where they take some wrong turns. But on the whole, I like if you just want to see like a 2-hour sci-fi action movie, I think you can go in enjoying this one just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as specifically a Terminator movie, I have a few complaints.
Go ahead.
I am one of those people who didn't like how they got rid of John Connor in the first 5 minutes. Now, granted, I get what they were trying to do. I just wish they didn't just off that character so flippantly too. And that was James Cameron's idea in the first place, makes it extra confusing.
Yeah. I don't know what it was like, and you hated that much more than like I'm a person that did not hate T3. Did I think it was an award nominee movie? No.
Oh no. Oh hell no.
But I still thought it was okay. And like saving John, like the twist at the end of T3 was awesome. It was amazing that like he wasn't trying to kill that Terminator. He was just trying to get John to safety. And that was it. I didn't see that coming. That was a different thing in a Terminator movie. He wasn't just trying to kill the Terminator to keep him to live. Like he was knowing that you could not stop Judgment Day. And he just got him somewhere so he could survive it. He was a stepping stone in a process. But go ahead. You said you had more complaints, so go ahead.
The other one's kind of silly. It's about I have thoughts on Legion that we'll get to when we talk about the article, but the other complaint I had was just the Rev 9, and it's just a silly thing. I think the actor Gabriel Luna is amazing, and he's like one of the best choices you could have had to play that role.
You're telling me Ghost Rider was a good idea to be the Terminator?
Like how cool was that scene in the what was it, like the border patrol
In the detainee
kind
of place?
the detainment center, where he's slicing a hallway full of dudes.
Mm-hmm. And then he just starts like spiking people as they're holding him back, attempting.
Only thing I don't like about the Rev 9 is that it's kind of the same complaint I have in The Force Awakens of the Starkiller base. It's like it's the Death Star but with a different name.
Yeah.
Like a Rev 9 is what? A T-800 but with the liquid metal skin.
Yeah, like that was the one thing where I was like, does this thing replicate or what's going on? Because I saw the endoskeleton stay behind and start driving the truck. And I'm like, does he just copy himself and he leaves an endoskeleton? I'm like, that's going to get ridiculous quick. And then like, he seemed a lot more durable than a T-800. I will give it that. Like, what was the classification? No, those are T-800s. I would say he was. I would say he's a T-1000 with an endoskeleton, because the T-1000 was the one that had like the knife limbs and stuff like that, and like actually molded himself a little bit. It was basically a T-1000 that could split itself from its endoskeleton.
Honestly, until they referred to it as a Rev 9, In the trailers, I just thought it was a T-1000.
Or yeah, it was close to that. Or another way to say it, it's pretty much a symbiote Terminator.
Okay.
With the along with the gosh dang it, touch sense clone capability that we only saw it use a handful of times, where it could, if it made contact with someone, it could mimic what they looked like. So it had like 1 or 2 tips and tricks. This is really petty. The Rev 9's a dumb name.
Yeah, it is.
That sounds like a kids like Jeep. I hate that name. I hate that name. And like I heard Arnie say it on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and I was like, "Are you kidding me, Rev 9?" Cameron, you could not come up with anything better than Rev 9. Give or take, you did not write this script, but you were producing it. How did you not come up with something better than Rev 9? Oh. And one main complaint, this movie could have been a half an hour shorter.
Yes, it could have.
And it would have been a lot better of a movie.
There were I counted at least 3 3 fake out endings in the third act.
Yeah, and like the last scenes were good, but it's just there were these I get it that the flashbacks, I get that. But it's like you had to show that she got enhanced. I'm going to get that. We'll get to that in a second, bud. That is a good question. We will get to that in a second. What was I going to say? Like the flashbacks. I could have pieced it together that she got shot and then asked to be enhanced.
Yeah, we didn't need to see like the entire like operation.
No, and then I saw from light years away that she didn't give birth to the savior, that it was just her.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And now we're in negatives. We're going to go back to positives because I forgot one until Poplocks mentioned it. With this new T-800 that they had, that after it killed John, that it was obsolete and it didn't have anything to do and it kind of just walked off. I totally spaced it out till he mentioned it. I thought it was really cool that they literally had a Terminator in and then had a family.
Oh yeah. A positive that I didn't even mention in my Letterboxd review was that Arnie brought a lot of either unintentional or intentional humor.
Yes. The scene where he's talking with, oh man, now I'm blanking on her name. Save your child. I'm blanking so
Danny?
hard. Danny. Where he's sitting there talking with, I believe it's Danny, in the passenger seat of his carpentry truck. And he's talking about, he said he wanted hard colors in the bedroom. I told him, no, it's a little girl. You want ponies? You want sparkles? And then it's like, I'm dependable and I'm extremely funny. It was just like, it was great. It was awesome. And that brings me back to another positive I forgot. He stayed back, purposely did not contact Sarah Connor, letting her know that he was a Terminator. He just sent her time quakes to let her know that Terminators were coming. When he realized that, again, got a conscience from the family, he screwed up. He was sent to do something bad, and then he was helping her take out Terminators. He didn't go himself. That was cool.
That was actually really nice. I like how he had a little bit of redemption.
He did. And they did not force feed old lines into him.
Oh, yeah, thank God.
I was waiting so hard for when he was falling down at the end and he goes where he's going to say "Hasta la vista, baby," or "I won't be back." He did say "I won't be back." That was okay. I was very okay with that part. And then when he's just sitting there, which again was awesome. He knew he was going to die. They actually let the freaking T-800 die, and he just sat down there and basically bullied and bitch slapped him until he stayed down and took that decode, and then just looked at it and said, "For John." I was like, at least you made it a point to show that it was important to make up for the kid that you just ganked max 2 minutes into this movie. They use it as a plot point, but man,
I think that's why, for some people, the John Connor getting off in the first 5 minutes is like a big make or break it point. For me, I think because of Arnie and his whole redemption, that made the first 5 minutes like worth it. I just still would prefer that not be a thing.
Yeah,
like this for me, this movie would have been like amazing if it was like a top down reboot, like with the Terminator franchise, or with any Terminator movie. You have to do bad guys come from the future, girl on the run, and a protector, for backup. Like those three things are important, but you didn't need Sarah Connor, although having Linda Hamilton back is great. Mm-hmm. You didn't need Arnie, but having him atone for his mistake was good. Mm-hmm. It's like this would have been great if it was like a top-down reboot, but it's like the best case scenario for what they chose instead.
Yeah, I instantly, when I saw him in the trailers, I was like, good Lord, come on, you have Arnold back in the movie again. Like, I was like, cool. They have a woman, like, advanced cybernetic person. They don't have a Terminator protecting her. It's a half step. And then, like, 10 minutes into having Arnie back, I was like, I'm actually kind of happy he's there. Like, how they were using him, I was happy. I don't know. It's a really hard movie to quantify how I feel about it, because it would have been cool if it was a total reboot. And then, like, I really thought and might have appreciated if Connor would have bit it, like helping the Terminator hold the thing down, and then like Danny goes and like, I get it, but they have to have the protector again, and that's what Sarah Connor was gonna be if this movie would have made money, but it's not going to, so that doesn't matter now. But it's, yeah. You had did you have more that you want to go into for negatives?
Well, do you want to get into the article now? Because this is where we need to kind of talk about Legion.
Okay. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. We will bring up that article in a second. As soon as I get it. There it is. All right. So hold on. Where? I gotta remember to find Legion again. Give us a hot second, folks, here. This is live editing. So are we sure that Legion didn't come from the fact that 2 Terminator bodies are left in the dam at the end of the movie? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that.
Okay. All right. Again, Miller says Legion's origin is not the same as Skynet's. It does not have to do with leftover Terminator pieces. Plus, he points out that 2020, which has what the movie was set in, was much different than from 1984 to 1995. You can imagine the original Terminator and Terminator 2 that the technology could be hidden in some way, Miller said, but you can't just imagine that that is going to do the same in our time. It's all caught on so much video, all this fantastic stuff. We don't deal with it in our movie, but it would have been dealt with, that some people are going to know that something weird is going on and that it can't be contained in the way it could be because of the surveillance state. Basically, even if all the Terminator pieces were destroyed, Miller figures that in this time period, Gizmodo or every other blog out there was going to write about these events captured on all cell phones near Mexico, and the fact that may provide more clues towards Legion's origin than anything else.
Yeah, I have a problem with saving an explanation for where Legion came from for the sequel that we're never going to get, because this movie made no money.
Yeah, it lost all of the money.
And I also think it's kind of a cop-out when in universe, Grace kind of says like there was no like clue to how it happened. Things just like the end of the world just kind of happened.
That is true. Now, give or take, people are going to say Skynet took over and then bleh, it was just Judgment Day and it was there. And they're never going to, because again, this movie was already a half an hour too long. Going into the exact quantifications of how it went down, like would have been a 25-minute scene in the next movie, spread out through flashbacks of like how one person did whatever, and then it was the Pentagon saying we can't have whatever, and then there's a United Nations meeting. It just formulates into they would have come up with something because we don't know what these things were. They're both dead, but they came from somewhere. It comes into where time travel sucks in movies if you don't contain it to where it's like the end of the world happened because you were preventing the end of the world. That's a continual problem that these Terminator movies have.
Yeah.
It becomes the time loop where the thing happened because you were fighting the thing.
And that's a general problem I have with setting sequels after Terminator 2, because in my opinion, that had we left like the franchise alone after that ending, I think we all would have been satisfied enough if it was just the Terminator and T2, because that's about as happy of an ending you could have with stopping the end of the world.
Yeah. And if they wanted to make that a trilogy like every freaking movie series needs to be, apparently, they could have had some half-step movie in between and then had that be the end. Like, you have the movie where you get the fact that somehow they got a commissioned T-800 and then sent it back because you're like, holy crap, at the end of the second movie, something happened and they need to send, and like the first scene at the end of that movie is Arnie going back. Which this always gets brought up. I'm a huge fan of Funhouse and used to be Inside Gaming. And Adam Kovic, a film nut, always brings up that the rule for why they send Terminators back is because they can't send weapons back, so they need to send the Terminator. So he's like, why don't you just stuff a body? Why don't you just stuff a cadaver full of weapons and then poop it right through the portal?
Yeah, you can send a literal body bag.
Exactly. And I'm like, how have they never done that? But again, that's just stupid, like whatever. But I don't know.
I guess we're just gonna have to accept that when it comes to time travel in movies, and trying to explain the big threat, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
What you need to do with time travel in movies, the closest thing you can get is, in my opinion, what Endgame did. You don't have the whole you're recognizing each other, you don't have the whole whatever, because every time you try and do time travel to stop something from happening in the future, you have to realize if you're making the timeline the frickin' same, somehow then you going back, like you can't have the person come back. My head hurts trying to explain this. You then create the problem by going back somehow. in the context of these movies. The problem never happens if you don't come back. Because it always, like in this movie, like you had Terminator pieces left, and it's like not in this movie, like you said, but they caught this stuff on camera. That's what started Legion. So technically, they didn't even need to go back and I'm trying so hard here. They didn't even need to go back in time to kill Danny. They just needed to have this freaking Rev 9 start wrecking house on a general populace in front of a security cam. Because then that gets caught on camera, then they start Legion, which starts what makes the Rev 9, but the Rev 9's never made in the freaking first place if Legion's never... It doesn't make sense ever!
Yep. Time travel, it's a bitch.
Oh, the only time time travel ever makes sense is if it's a way where it's an alternate reality timeline spiked from there where you're not affecting your own timeline. You can't do this anymore. If they're going to do Terminator movies, you need to somehow find a way to where you're like, our timeline's boned. We can't. It's done. No matter what, Judgment Day is happening. You can't avoid it. Like you said, unless it was T2 and you just ended it, you need to try again with something like Salvation to where we got it. It's FUBARD. It's happening. We end it in the future somehow. You can't keep going back because you just have logic that doesn't make sense no matter how hard you try. I sat in a theater for a good 10 minutes after this movie was done, trying to piece together how it wouldn't have... You can't. James Cameron is a smart man. I don't know if he thought about this on one of his many deep dives that proved wrong to whatever guy deep dived farther than him in his explanation of these 100 freaking Avatar sequels. Something simple, James, please.
Yeah.
God! I can't do this anymore with these Terminator movies. Wait 10 years. 10.
Yeah.
And then
I agree.
Literal hot restart. Everything started over. You don't have Skynet. You don't have Legion. You come up with something completely freaking different where it's in the present. The Terminator's made in the present by Skynet. You're dealing with Judgment Day as it happens. You know how great that would be?
Yeah, that would be something new.
It would. And you wouldn't be screwing yourself up. You could have a continuity, for Christ's sake. I'm literally getting a headache trying to comprehend what they were going for. I like this movie. It's the closest thing you can get to not conjumbling things. But, if you're not saving anything also by killing Danny, how do you know for sure someone else isn't going to go, hey, I hate robots?
And that's kind of a problem with the original Terminator too. Like yeah, Sarah is John's mother, but like the Connors aren't like royal blood. Someone else can start the revolution.
Exactly. Like Reese is just going to go poof up in smoke if you got rid of Sarah? No. Like, come on, people. Like, not everyone's going to sit down. Give or take, there could be a cute little Mexican girl that starts Viva Revolution and then, like, it goes. But eventually, someone else was going to get pissed. Eventually. Like, that's why these movies were really good that they were made back when they were made.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like there was no surveillance cameras everywhere. These events, to a degree, could be contained. Like with the T2. The T-1000 was killed. The T-800 was melted. Everything was done. Just, films need to know that they can stop.
Yeah. They just need to know when, like, when the tank is empty. And with Terminator, the tank is empty.
The tank has been empty, then they turned it into a hybrid, then it ran out of electricity, then they invented hydropower, and they drained the oceans, and they tried again. James, you own the thing again. It's your baby. Make your freaking Avatar sequels, because that will take 10 years to get them all out of your system. You already made Alita Battle Angel. You took that long enough to finally get out. Wait. Terminator's your baby. You can do it again later.
Yeah, let us miss it. Let us miss this premise.
Yes, because it's hard to say, but not many other series nowadays, unless I'm missing something, do this exact premise. Like, to a T. No matter what in their movies, do this. Am I blanking on something?
Do you mean like specifically the kill do you mean like a slasher film but with a more sci-fi element?
Like sci-fi element with like a slasher film, like that, but it's like someone is like, it's the exact thing. Someone comes back, the predator is there, and then a different apex predator is protecting them. Like you have a slasher flick villain protecting the quote unquote virgin that always survives every movie with another slasher flick villain. You don't get that very often. The closest thing you got was Freddy versus Jason, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and even that movie's like it doesn't even take itself seriously.
It doesn't, and it had fun with it. Again, was it an Oscar-nominated movie? Hell no! But it was fun, and guess what? That thing didn't get the sequel it was wanting either. These are hard to make. Take your time. For the love of God, this and Star Wars just need to go away for 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, that was another rant that needed to go on. What are your final thoughts?
Okay, final thoughts. Terminator Dark Fate, taking on its own merits, is a good time. I enjoyed seeing it in theaters. But I do agree that the franchise needs to be put on ice for a decade. I think Cameron is, busy enough with his 5 Avatar sequels that he doesn't even need to think about Terminator until he's finished.
And it blew my mind when I'm like, he's got it back and he's already producing another movie? Like, dude, Zoe Saldana made 5 Marvel movies in the time it took you to get her back in a movie! Like, oh. But whatever. I thought it was a fun time. For the love of God, shut your brain off and you will enjoy it. It's a franchise that is dumb popcorn fun that tries to be a little bit more than it needs to be sometimes plot-wise, but it is still fun. It will drag in the middle a wee bit, but if you just wanted a freaking Terminator movie,
you got what you paid for.
You're getting exactly. So you'll be happy. It's a solid like 6, 7 out of 10.
I go like 7.5.
Yeah. Go see it if you're curious. Try and make it not lose every cent because it's gorgeous and they at least put the money somewhere.
Oh, one last thing. The score by Junkie XL, top notch.
It's really good. It's really good. I've never seen a movie where I don't like what he does. Ever.
Yeah, he's like...
And how many times has he been with Miller now? Because he did Deadpool 1, correct?
He did do Deadpool. And what else has Tim Miller directed? Because I think other than Deadpool and like a couple of video game openings,
I gotta think now. That might have been... Wasn't he up for something and then it got canned?
Hold on. I'm looking.
He was up for some well-known like pop culture property and then it got canned, I thought.
Oh, he was going to direct an adaptation of The Goon, but that got put on a shelf.
Got it. Okay. Okay. But is that seriously it? Has he only done? Wow. I seriously thought he did something else in that meantime.
He did like second unit directing on Thor: The Dark World. But that's all. Oh no, you know what he did? He did the Netflix series Love, Death, and Robots with David Fincher.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that was him. I've heard so much good things about that, and now that Tim's done it, I might actually check it out. Because that just got renewed again, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. We are getting a season 2 of that. That's something I have to check out myself because it sounds like it's something that's like made for me.
Yeah, it sounds nuts, and I've heard many things, but I'm still trying to watch the 1600 CW shows that keep coming out that I want to try and keep interested in, but are slowly draining my soul trying to keep up with them. So when that off season starts, I'm going to be rifling through some stuff on Netflix. But all right, everyone, we're both under consensus. You should at least give the movie a try and see what you think about it. It is not a masterpiece. It is not quite the like Herculean task that James Cameron began producing and Tim and everybody coming back. Do not expect that you're going to get your socks blown off, but you will have a fun time if you just wanted a Terminator movie.
Could have said it better myself.
Yeah. Mike, where can they reach you at?
You can find me Twitter at Captain K42, Letterboxd at Coach K42, and find me in all various Facebook groups just at Michael K.
And you can find me at pretty much everything Organoid Zero. And the very first time that you'll be finding me on anything on my Facebook page is because I will be cosplaying this weekend in Minneapolis for the very first time, and I am deathly nervous. So we'll see how that goes. Pictures will go up on that, and that is also the reason why Dr. Sleep's going to be slightly late, because that is next weekend, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that will be coming out a little bit late, just like this one does, but we will be doing that because I am really excited about that. So
same.
Yeah, that we will do, because Ewan McGregor said it has an ending that will satisfy people that liked the Kubrick movie and Stephen King, which that statement made me really confused, because if anyone knows Stephen King, he hates the Shining movie. So we'll see. And if you don't know, in the Shining book, the Overlook explodes. So I don't know how the ending of this is somehow going to be okay with Stephen King and how the movie turned out.
We'll have to wait and see.
We will. So we will see you guys next time. Poplocks, if you watched the review back again, thank you very much for coming in, bud. That was an awesome question, because I would have forgotten about that if you didn't bring it up. So everybody, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
Peace.